If you're stuck in feast or famine, if you're afraid to hire a team member to help your business grow, or if you're in that situation where you're not really sure if you can cover all your bills next month, I need you to listen to this talk. In November 2023, I was waiting for that second on-delivery check for my big web design project I was working on. I wasn't sure where my next lead was coming from, and I had to dip into my savings. My silly brain has that thought that it sometimes does and said, "You failed. Shoot, I think I'm gonna have to get a part-time job." But I wasn't ready to admit that. I wasn't ready to quit. I knew I had to do something different. I was under the impression that if I just built enough websites and got enough maintenance clients, that I would be able to start a business. But when I really started to run the numbers, I started to see the truth. I was really just creating a job. This is the most important paradigm shift successful web design business owners make. They realize that they need to create a business and not a job. And so if you're at that point where you're only making $30 or $50 or maybe even $100,000 in your web design business, but you're starting to realize that it's 2025 and that's not enough anymore, well, I want to help you out because I made one simple change in November of 2023, recurring revenue. I made a choice. And I want you to know that you don't have to choose the same one as me to get something out of this little talk that we're going to have right now. But by adding this one service, I went from $170 in monthly recurring revenue, $21,000 in gross revenue for the year, and 0 team members in 2023 to, in 2024, having $11,000 in monthly recurring revenue in December, $129,000 in gross revenue for 2024, and 6 regular subcontractors that I work with every single month. The reason why I was able to grow my web design business by $100,000 in 1 year was because I followed a simple map. And I think that you can follow that map and you can get $100,000 as well. The map is simple, but it ain't easy. MAP, mindset, attraction, processes. Don't worry, we're going to break these 3 down. And the one that is most important is the one you think it is. So let's get started by talking about that first letter, M, mindset. We have to make sure our mindset is correct if we're going to actually grow a business and not a job. One of the biggest issues with content that's out there nowadays is it's a little dated, and it tells us that our big goal should be getting to $100,000 per year. But the harsh reality of 2025 life is that $100,000 is barely enough. In fact, for some areas, like where I live in Bend, Oregon, $100,000 isn't enough. So we actually have to make more. And here's the issue. If we look at some data here, Kyle Van Dusen of the Admin Bar did a survey last year of over 1,000 web designers, found that over 2/3 of web designers are making less than $100,000 per year. And 72% are charging less than $5,000 per website. Now, just so you know, I'm not on this high horse, okay? Like, I remember when I charged $2,500 for my first paid website and $3,500 for the second one and $4,500 and then $5,000. And so, like, trust me, that was months ago, not years ago. So I'm right here with you, people. If you're not charging $5,000 yet, okay, it's okay, but we got to get over that hump. But let's choose a fair number here for just some quick back of the napkin math. Let's say you're charging $3,500 for a website and you want to make $125,000. That means you need to build about 36 websites, which is roughly 3 websites per month. Now that's totally doable, but the acquiring clients piece is the harder part. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time tracking down 3 clients per month for websites. What about you? Since it seems like most web designers make $30,000, $50,000, maybe $70,000 per year, probably not getting to that 36 number. And so the math just doesn't add up. And I can hear what some of you are saying, but Sam, the maintenance plans, they're going to stack up over time. And yeah, I get that, but it's going to take years to get over several $1,000s, let alone to $10,000 just from your maintenance packages. But here's where the math gets interesting. What if we didn't get that many web design clients, but we were able to get an MRR service involved? Now I'm going to break the rules here, okay? Because I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to give you fake numbers here. Remember, if you're rolling out an MRR service, not each client's going to last for the whole year. So the math's a little off, but we'll talk about that more later, okay? Let's just say you were charging $500 per month for a service. What your growth service is doesn't really matter for this talk. It could be SEO, email marketing, editing Instagram reels, coaching, AI automation. I do not care what it is. Just fill in the blank. If you can have 5 clients that pay you $500 per month for 12 months, and now you build 2 websites per month for the whole year at that same 3,500, you get to 114,000, a little bit closer to the 125. Now let's say you can get a little bit braver and you're able to find 1 client for your growth service per month. Now remember, this is an oversimplification, but let's say you can get 12 clients, 12 months, and now you're charging $750 per month. And this dials back your web design output, but you're still able to get 1 out per month. Guess what that number equals? $150,000. Now here's the problem. If you add an MRR service to your business, whatever it is, again, I said it does not matter for this example, it's going to require more time, especially when you start to get over the number of about 5 clients. From what I've seen in local SEO, it starts to become a little bit more than one person can handle, especially considering you wear a lot of hats in your business, right? You're also the administrator. You're also the financial person. You're also the one that has to go out and get the clients and close the sales. Eventually, you're probably going to need help. Then you have to pay that person, and that means you need to make more money. It's kind of this positive feedback loop that isn't so positive on your bottom line, but it can be very powerful. It can help get better results for your clients, and it can actually turn what used to be a job into a business. This is the big paradigm shift. This is the mindset tweak that I think you need to make. In the oldie but goodie E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber talks about the concept of the technician. Web designers are the perfect technicians. For some reason, we're told that because we're really good at this thing, we should start a business around this thing that we're really good at. That makes sense, right? But just because you understand color theory doesn't mean you understand accounts payable. Just because you know how to make a nice CTA button doesn't mean you know how to do lead generation. Just because you're a good web designer doesn't mean you're a good business owner. And please, I'm not saying that you're not a good business owner. I'm just saying, think about how you're running your business right now. For instance, this is what I did just a little over a year ago. I would spend most of my week working on client work, a little bit of my week trying to get new clients, and then I'd spend a ton of my week working on answering emails and participating in communities online and trying to come up with content because, that's a thing we all think is really important to our business. And really, at the end of the day, any moment where I got busy, which was pretty fleeting, I got weighed down. It was all on me. If something popped up, all of the responsibility was on me. That was pretty taxing. Being good at the thing that your business does is actually a superpower, but that doesn't mean you have to do all the pieces or that you even have to do it at all. Again, we're talking about mindset. I want you to consider this as a possibility. Some of you may already know what I'm talking about and kind of feel the direction I'm having you go down, but stick with me here. In the E-Myth Revisited, the concept of the org chart is introduced. And in case you've never heard this before, I just want to break it down quickly because I know a lot of people have heard about this before, but let's just take a moment to talk about this. If you're going to have a web design business with an MRR service, it probably makes sense to have 2 arms of your business. At the top, and I know like hierarchical structures are so archaic, but like I'm old school, follow me here. At the top is going to be the ultimate decision maker, the CEO of the company, the founder, whatever you want to call it. That's you. Okay, you're at the top. Now, let's focus on the web design side of your business. There needs to be a project manager, somebody that makes sure that the projects keep going on a timely fashion and gets handed off to the next phase. That is probably you right now. And honestly, it'll probably be you for a while. Now, the next step is the design part. Now, you don't have to design the websites that you build, but I know that's a really hard part for web designers to give up, but consider that there might be people out there that are better than you, or at the very least, more affordable or efficient than you. So that's something to consider. The next step down is the building of the websites. And there are lots of people that are very good at that and much more efficient and cheaper than you, whether you'd like to admit it or not. That is the case. That's a step you don't have to do. And then there's the website maintenance, the support tickets, the little updates. You don't have to do that either. That's probably the first thing most of us give up, either to a VA from the Philippines, which I hear is pretty common, or to maybe one of our friends or our partners or something like that. These are all the roles on the web design arm. Now, In MRR land, it's going to depend. If you have, say, an Instagram social media management type of company, you're probably going to have somebody that does the strategizing, right? Then you're going to have somebody that creates the text content, maybe somebody that does the video editing, maybe even somebody that's as specific as doing the captions. Probably not. Can you tell I don't run an Instagram social media management company? But what's important to figure out is that there are different roles that need to be filled in this arm of your business. So make sure you fill them all out. For instance, for me, we have an SEO project manager, and that's the person that kind of oversees this overall strategy and make sure everybody's doing good. More specifically, we have account managers that should be assigned to each client. So that way it either stays consistent or maybe they roll around a little bit, but they have a certain subsection that they're digging deep on each week. And then an SEO technician whose job is to do some of the more technical work. And I could foresee potentially having multiple people in that role at some point, doing things like GBP posts and, updating SEO titles and H1 tags and those things, maybe building out location pages. The task that a lot of people can do that can do it more efficiently and cheaper than I certainly can. Now, while you're looking at your org chart, there are other roles too. I'm going to have us do a really practical example here in a second. And when we do that, I don't want you to think about these people, but write these people down. Somebody's running the books. Somebody's doing the admin. Maybe somebody is helping you with content creation, or maybe not, but they could, right? You could have a video editor. You could have a YouTube coach, somebody helping you with the scripting and the thumbnails and the title selection, or you could have somebody that's writing your LinkedIn post for you. Maybe you don't have anybody doing that yet, but these are things that you could have people do. You can hire a bookkeeper, you can hire an accountant. Even if you're going to use TurboTax this year for your own taxes, next year maybe you're not. So you want to consider these things when you're writing down an org chart, but for practicality, we're just going to focus on the team that's going to work on the deliverables moving forward, okay? Now, I want to move on to money because I want your mindset to be set on money. But let's take a quick little detour, okay? Let's get a little woo-woo. Why? Why did you start a web design business? A lot of people, when I ask this question, will give me something pretty altruistic. They'll say, I want to help people, and that's great. Other people will mention time. They want to spend more time with their family, especially mothers with their children. Absolutely. What a great job. Which ties into another one, time. The ability to choose the hours you work opens up that opportunity to spend more time with your children. For me, it opens up more opportunity to spend time with my family, who just lives a couple hours away. But it's a great superpower to have, knowing that I can get tons of work done in a couple hours and still be present for the rest of the day and hang out with my family. That's amazing. I love that part of being a web designer. But that brings us to our next question. What's your end game? Are you trying to build a job or a business? Because if you just want to build a job, maybe you can get this up to the 120s, 130s, and you'll be happy and it'll make sense for you to not do this. But here's the thing, my friend. If you're only making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 per year and you're busting your ass to get this job done, you're better off working in an office somewhere. And I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. But I really think if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, you can get over that hump. But the problem is you're probably going to need help, and that scares people. So you have to ask yourself, is this what I want? If you're okay with potentially bringing on a couple team members, growing with them and growing yourself, finding out if you're a leader, finding out if you can delegate, finding out if you could be a mentor, which I bet you can. The benefits totally outweigh those worries that you're feeling right now inside of you. Because trust me, that first time I reached out to somebody and I said, I need your help, I felt like I was losing a part of my business. And little did I know they were going to be better than me and faster than me. And that made it so I could get to the next step. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little detour. And we're going to talk about the org chart. We're going to get super practical. Are you ready? Head over to calc.localseoacademy.co if you would like to follow along. So what we have here, this first part is the org chart. So we're going to put you in here at 50,000. Let's bump that up, okay? We're going to put you at 75,000, okay? We're going to run through a scenario with your first year. Okay, your first year of adding an MRR service, okay? And I want you to play with this tool. Keep playing with this tool until you feel like you have this part right, because you have to get the mindset piece right, because that's how you're going to work backwards and do the rest of this, okay? So you can do that, and then you can add some roles in. So let's say you're going to add in a designer, and we're going to keep things pretty meager. So this is about 2,000 per month. Remember, we're talking subcontractor rates. That's probably somebody in America. And then we're going to do a developer. We're going to try to get away with about 1,500 per month there. We'll give ourselves a pretty moderate amount of projects there. And then we'll give our maintenance person 500 per month. I mean, it's a pretty simple task, right? You could probably get away for less than that. Maybe have one of these people do it hourly. Now in this example, I'm going to assume that I'm going to continue to be the web design project manager, but we're going to hire somebody to be the SEO project manager. They're going to need more hours, so we're going to pay them a little bit more. And I'm going to bring an SEO technician here. Now we might also have like a VA, and we'll put them in about $750 per month. These are, again, very rough numbers. So if you scroll down here, you're going to see what our total amount is right now. So right now we have total wages. Let's bump down our fixed expenses because this is more for an ideal scenario, which I want you to also play around with. So we're going to put that at 50,000, which is pretty high, and you can mess around with the tax rate. I'm going to say we want to keep 25,000 for the business. And so that puts our gross revenue needed at 340,000. And now I know what you're probably thinking, like, holy smoke, Sam, that's a lot. Especially if you're making $50,000 per year right now, you're probably like, how the hell am I supposed to make $340,000? Hear me out. Okay, so now we're going to look at this here, and let's do websites. Okay, so let's say, remember the example I gave you earlier where I said, okay, you're going to do 36, you're going to do 3,500. All right. Again, you're making 125,000. Yay. But that's not how much you need if you have a whole team. Okay. But now let's say you have a more realistic number. Let's say you're able to get 2 websites per month at 3,500. And let's say you up your prices to 4,000. And let's say you start to get some MRR clients. Let's start with 5. And let's say you're able to charge 500. This was the example I was giving earlier. You're still not really there. You've really only made 30,000. And that's based on a 12-month commitment. But if you're able to get a little braver, then the numbers start to go up quicker. If you can get 10, now we're starting to chip away. Whoops. 15 at 750. Okay. What if we could do 20? All right. See how we're getting closer and closer? Now, I think the real sweet spot for MRR is 1,000, because once you can get to that number, now you're very, very close to being able to hit this. And these are actually pretty high numbers up here. Your first year, some of these people are going to come on mid-year. Some of these people, this might be even this one's probably a little bit high. So you're probably not going to need all of this stuff right away. But I want you to play around with these numbers. Now, let's say that we go back to 750, and I want to show you this advanced mode here, where you can do something that's a little more realistic. Now, let's say in January you got 0 clients because you weren't doing MRR yet. And then in February you got 1. Let me scroll back down so we can see that. And then in March you got 2 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 3. I would say these are very realistic numbers to get to. Well, even at only charging $750, look at this. You were actually able to get in the green. And remember, in all of these examples that I've given, I'm trying to keep a profit of 200 or 250,000. Would that be great? I'm trying to keep a profit of 25,000 in all of these examples. And so you could tweak that number too. I mean, if you're actually paying yourself, then you can certainly break even and get away with all of this. I encourage you to play around with this tool. What you're seeing right here is my ideal setup for 2026. And honestly, I think we're on the track to hit this. And so that's a pretty good number, all things considered, especially since I'm leaving actually a pretty big number up here, and I'm trying to pay myself an actual livable wage. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, you might be looking at the clock thinking, this guy doesn't have a lot of time to talk about his other points, and that's true. I really, really want to hammer home mindset, but I definitely want to take the vast majority of my remaining time and talk about attraction, because we don't want to be chasing leads anymore. We want to be attracting high value prospects that we can easily convert into clients, and not just any clients, but clients we can get amazing results for that will fall in love with us and they'll work with us for a long time. Okay, think back to 2024 for me. What was your marketing channel that did the best for you? Was it in-person networking? Was it social media? Was it your own SEO? I've gotten some clients from SEO. It's pretty meta when that happens. Was it your email newsletter? Whatever it is, I think you should double down on it. And everything else, push it to the side. Now, I'm not saying, don't do networking events as well if you're really focused on your Instagram community. But if you found something that works, please dig into it, and not until it feels like you have saturated the market because you're working with all the people in your community that you could, or you've tapped into all of your resources on the gram. Only then can you consider a second channel. Or, and my one caveat to this is, if you have the money to invest in marketing, then you can also do that. Okay, what do we do while we're out there with our marketing? I think it's important to have two lead gen strategies. One is your low pressure lead gen strategy. For me, it's called the 30-day local SEO playbook, 30dayseo.com. You can go get yours for free right now. You just got to give me your email. It's 30 days worth of actions for local SEO. You're probably thinking, I would give my email away for that. And guess what? Hundreds of people have, because it's a low pressure thing. Okay, I'm getting all this value, and all I'm giving them is my email. In return, I can unsubscribe anytime. This is a no-brainer. Let's go check it out. Let's see if it's worth it. Now, what do I mean by a high pressure lead gen strategy? Well, people often know that they're probably going to get sold to somewhere along the way. And so my high pressure is an SEO strategy video. It's completely free. It's not like paid discovery or anything like that. But people inherently know, this guy's probably going to try to sell to me after this. So I really try to be careful about where I pitch this. It's either after they've gotten something like this, or if we've had some interactions, I might say, hey, you should go fill out the form and let me send you a free SEO strategy video. Maybe I show them the little QR code on my business card. They fill out the form, and we see what happens next. But it's a perfect segue to get people to know, like, and trust me a little bit more, and hopefully get them over the hump so that we can start working together. I certainly don't have enough time to really cover a sales call. If there's one piece of advice that I could give to people that aren't very salesy, like myself, it's this. Find out where they're at, find out where they want to be. The difference between those points is the secret to you getting the sale. But here's the thing. They have to be convinced that what you do is the right choice for what they should do next. I like to lay out all the options. I like to present what we do as an option, but then also be skeptical. Why not option B or option C? Oh, you've tried that before? Why didn't that work out? Or maybe they've tried your option before. Maybe they were burned by an SEO agency in the past, and you say, well, how were you burned? Figure it out. Understand how you could potentially offer a different solution. And then at the very end, you just ask a simple question. I think what we do can help you. You mind if I share with you how we can do that? At that point, they know, like, and trust you. They want to hear what you have to say. And at that point, in the shortest, tiniest way possible, you explain how you can help them. And if you're anything like me, you're going to tell them, look, I can't guarantee the results, but I do guarantee I'm going to work my ass off for you. And so is my team. And hopefully at this point, 12 months from now, because we like to work with people for a year, so that we were both committed to this process, we're all celebrating because we did a really good job. If you got good case studies, you can share those too. The key is, by this point, it should almost feel like a no-brainer. And so when they say, the only thing I need to know is how much does it cost? And I say $9.99 per month, and it's a 12-month commitment. I was shocked, absolutely and utterly shocked the first time somebody said yes. But guess what? People keep saying yes. Some people say no, and that's okay. I don't take it personally. But then the next person says yes. And then maybe a couple people say no, but then the next 3 say yes. And it shows me that, guess what? I can sell an MRR service at $1,000 per month with a 12-month commitment, and it makes me feel good. And let me tell you this part right here, because it's not about the money. It's about getting results for my clients. And I found that local SEO is a way to get actual results for your client. And when it comes back to the business side of things, remember how I said we made $129,000 gross revenue last year? Well, at the end of January, the first month of the year, the money on the books, as I like to call it, this is all the stuff that's committed by contract, and we only closed about 2 clients in January, is over $150,000. That's a running start. And so getting to that number that looks so big, that $300,000, that $500,000, that $600,000 mark, it's actually a lot closer than I think it is. So if you want to be attracting the right clients, one lead channel only, have a low pressure and a high pressure lead generation strategy, and get better at selling, period. Now, none of this matters if you don't pick the right MRR service and then have a process behind it. And that's where the P comes in, processes. You need to have a proven SOP to follow. SOP stands for standard operating procedures for all of the phases of your web design projects, for your website maintenance, updating the plugins and all that good stuff, and for your MRR service, whether it be SEO or Reels or AI automation, whatever it is that you do. Each step from onboarding to offboarding should get out of your brain and into something like Notion or Google Docs as soon as possible. And if you don't know how to do your MRR service, make sure you pick somebody that you can trust. For me, I went with local SEO because the second I started to go to networking events and told people that I built websites for small businesses, they all said, sure. So does Squarespace. But hey, do you know how to rank higher on Google? That got me thinking. But the problem is I started to take all these courses that are out there, a few $100s here, a few $100s there. I spent quite a bit because I was taking this seriously. None of them really gave me the meat and potatoes that I needed to actually deliver results through local SEO. And that's exactly why I created Local SEO Academy. It's a suite of courses that teach you everything about the Google Business Profile, how to actually do local SEO for your clients. It also breaks down the steps that I take from onboarding to the first month, to the build phase, to the care phase. I actually have my entire agency's SOPs in there at this point. I also have my proposal and my contract, which has been reviewed by an actual contract lawyer, maybe not in your state, so double check that part. And the best part, hands down, is the community. There's just a few dozen of us in there right now, but it is popping. People are getting prospects, closing deals, and starting to work with clients, and they don't feel lost because they have support, and that's amazing. And one of my favorite parts of my week now is our Monday calls, and those are great, just hearing the struggles and the successes, and I just really love it. So anyway, again, I don't care what your MRR service is, who you learn your MRR services from. Just make sure you pick someone. If you think local SEO is what you want to do and you just want to copy my processes, then please go to localseoacademy.co/YouTube. And I have a special deal waiting for you. If you're struggling right now, remember, I was struggling too. It was not fun, but you don't have to be in the feast or famine cycle. MAP, get your mindset right. You don't have a job anymore. You have a business and a responsibility to grow that business and make enough money so that you can have that business. I believe in you. You can do this. But to do that, you got to be attracting the right clients. Do that by being very clear about how you're going to bring them in and where you're going to point them to and how you're going to sell them. And then finally, have processes that actually deliver results, are repeatable, and they are scalable, and you can bring your team in and you have this prosperity as well. And by the way, if you're wondering, does this guy have it all figured out? The answer is hell no. But each day I feel a little closer to that freedom I really set out for when I left my full-time job. And if that's what you're looking for too, don't forget about MAP. You got the roadmap, now use it.